I never imagined, not even in the craziest nights after a cold, loud win at Soldier Field, that I'd be sitting here breaking down a scenario this perfect for the Chicago Bears. A scenario where the exact kind of pass rusher we've been begging for suddenly makes more sense in navy and orange than anywhere else in this league. This is Bears News Fan Report. I'm here with you like always, talking straight to you, one-on-one, no gimmicks. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through why the name Shamar Stewart is not just some random line in a national segment, but a potential game-changing opportunity that fits exactly where this franchise is going. Stay with me, because I'm not throwing the whole story at you in the first seconds. I want you to see the full picture. Who Stewart really is beyond the headlines, what's going on around him, how his profile connects perfectly with the Bears' defensive identity, what recent trends say about our roster, and why this dream that sounds too good to be true actually has a logical foundation if the right doors open. We start with us, because that's where every serious analysis has to begin. The Chicago Bears right now are not the old, lost version of themselves. They're relevant, physical, building something real around Caleb Williams, with a front office that finally knows how to combine draft capital, cap space, and culture. You feel it in the way this team competes, how it responds after setbacks, how it no longer folds when the lights are bright. But when you strip it down on defense, especially in those high-leverage downs, one need is still screaming. This team does not yet have enough pure game-wrecking edge talent to slam the door on third down, to make offensive coordinators change their script on Wednesday, to tilt the field every single week. The structure is better, the tackling is better, the secondary has been reinforced, the interior has more fight, but that one terrifying presence off the edge who forces protection changes and creates panic throws, that right now is still a wish. And that is exactly why Shamar Stewart's name hits different. Stewart is not a myth. He's the modern prototype teams spend years trying to find. Former blue-chip recruit, first-round pick, explosive first step, long frame, power to collapse the pocket, the kind of athletic ceiling you usually only touch if you're drafting at the very top. Cincinnati brought him in to be the future of their pass rush. But you know how this league works. Nothing is linear. Between early expectations, the weight of replacing veterans, contract noise, injuries, and inconsistent usage, his first stretch has already been marked by pressure and scrutiny. At times, you see exactly why he went in the first round. At others, you see a young edge still stitching traits into production, still learning how to win every snap in a league that punishes hesitation. For a team under its own pressure, that creates tension. For an organization that sees beyond the short term, that can create opportunity. From a Bears lens, this is where the dream stops being fantasy and starts looking like strategy. Look at what we are building. A defense that flies to the ball, plays with effort, backed by an offense that for the first time in a long time has a true franchise quarterback and weapons that force opponents to respect the full field. Now, overlay Shamar Stewart on top of that. Imagine a young, high-upside edge rusher in this system pinning his ears back on third and long with a fan base roaring behind him, forcing protections to slide his way, opening lanes inside for stunts, and freeing teammates to win cleaner. That's not just more sacks. That's flipping the emotional tone of games. Instead of Caleb Williams needing perfection, you start taking the ball away. Instead of living on flawless coverage, you start forcing rushed decisions and tipped passes. That's the kind of presence that turns a solid unit into a dangerous defense. Now, let me be absolutely clear with you, because I refuse to insult your intelligence. As of today, there is no official agreement sending Shamar Stewart to Hallis Hall. There is no done deal in the shadows. What there is, and this matters, is a convergence of factors that makes this exactly the type of situation a serious franchise like the Bears has to be ready to attack. You've got a young, elite traits edge in a market where expectations, early injuries, and inconsistent production can start to shake outside perception. You've got a Bengals organization juggling pressure and roster needs. And you've got a Chicago front office that finally has what it never had in past eras of desperation: flexibility, picks, and a clear identity to sell. When those three elements exist at the same time in the NFL, possibilities become real for the teams that are prepared. From a roster-building angle, Stewart is almost tailor-made for our timeline. You're not talking about squeezing the last snaps out of a 30-plus veteran on a heavy contract. You're talking about adding a young edge who, if it clicks, hits his prime in sync with Caleb Williams, your young receivers, and the rest of the core. That alignment is priceless. On the field, when he's healthy and used right, you see the tools. Burst that forces tackles to cheat, length to affect throwing lanes, flashes of setting the edge, power when he commits. What he needs is refinement, reps, a clear role, and a building that believes in development instead of panicking over every quiet Sunday. That's where Chicago can be different. For once, this franchise can be the place that turns potential into production instead of the place where talent comes to stall. Standards are back, accountability is back, and there's a staff that can tell a young pass rusher, "We know what we want from you, and if you buy in, this city will lift you." Financially, this kind of move fits the new Bears profile. You can invest in a young edge without suffocating the roster, building the deal around upside and risk in a balanced way. That's when contenders separate themselves. They buy big traits before the rest of the league recalibrates the price. And let's be real, for too long we've sat back and watched other teams buy low on freak athletes, trust their development programs, and turn those raw monsters into stars, while we patch the edge with safe, hard-working guys who gave effort but didn't keep offensive coordinators up at night. That era has to be over. This is the opposite mindset. This is the version of the Bears that doesn't wait for the league to tell us who's special. We see the traits early, we act before the breakout, and we let that explosion happen in our colors. So here's the moment you were waiting for, said in plain language. If the situation around Shamar Stewart keeps trending toward available under the right conditions, he is exactly the kind of player the Bears should move on. No circus, no desperation, just a calculated strike that lines up need, identity, and timeline. Not a flashy panic swing to sell jerseys, but a football decision. Elite length, first step juice, age that fits Caleb's window, and a ceiling that, if it unlocked in this system, turns him from another young edge to the guy you game plan around. You put that profile into this core we're building, and the shift is immediate. Suddenly, we're not just talking about being competitive or annoying to play against, we're talking about dictating protection schemes, sliding lines his way, freeing stunts inside, closing pockets faster, forcing quarterbacks into rushed decisions and tipped passes, and walking into January with a defense that finally feels like Chicago again. Violent, fast, unforgiving. That's the difference between hoping your rush gets home and knowing deep down that it will. Now I want you in it because this channel has never been about talking down to you. Tell me in the comments, thinking like people who understand how windows work. If the opportunity appears and the price is serious but fair, a premium pick, maybe a young piece you like, a real but not reckless contractual commitment, would you want the Bears to push for Shamar Stewart as the long-term edge of this defense, the centerpiece opposite what we're already building? Do you trust this staff and this locker room to take his raw traits and sharpen them into consistent production, to hold him to the standard that's finally becoming non-negotiable here? Or would you rather park those assets in another spot? Cornerback help, interior disruption, one more weapon to supercharge Caleb and make every possession a problem. Drop your honest blueprint, because this community understands something simple that too many franchises escape in. Contender windows are built, not gifted. To close it out in a direct and professional way, the Shamar Stewart idea is not about chasing noise. It's about locking in a standard. The new Chicago Bears must think and act like a team that expects to win. Identify elite traits before they explode, stay ready for the moment another front office hesitates, use our culture and structure as leverage, and make sure every significant move aligns with a future where this defense once again defines Sundays in this league. If you see it like that, or even if you don't and have a different path in mind, let me know below. And if you want to stay locked into every real possibility, every structural decision, and every move that could shape the next era of Bears football, subscribe to Bears News Fan Report, turn on notifications, hit like, share this with that one friend who still thinks top defensive talent doesn't choose Chicago, and stay close. Because if the right door opens and this front office is as ready as it needs to be, a move for a player in Shamar Stewart's mold could be exactly what turns this promising era into the long-awaited nightmare for opposing quarterbacks.